So if I see .pharmacy,
it's legit.
Visit safe.pharmacy to learn how you and your loved ones can be certain the medications you buy online are safe. A public service from the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, and our guest today is also a 2017-2018 Campus Compact Newman Civic Fellow, where she is developing a project mobilizing young women against domestic violence. And with One Girl Incorporated, Jaslin Kaur coordinated the annual leadership conference, Women in Charge, a forum on women's leadership at Fordham University, where you moderated a panel on women in policy and advocacy. So tell us as much as you can about this important project and you're developing as a Campus Compact Newman Civic Fellow.
Right. So this fellowship was an incredible opportunity I was able to access in representing Nassau Community College once I had graduated. And as someone who has been vocal on the issues of domestic violence and has actually been personally affected by domestic violence, I knew that it was really important for me to reach out to other young women and girls who weren't able to escape the situation, right? So what I'm working on is a digital campaign looking to raise awareness about domestic violence for young women and girls across the world. So I'm calling it #Stories Not Silence. And this is a way to raise awareness and tell the stories of what you've experienced through domestic violence, because I believe that storytelling is really important to raising awareness, right? When one person shares what happened to them, it inspires other people to say, you know, that happened to me too. And especially in this watershed moment we're having with the #MeToo movement, right, it's really important that young women are able to bond with each other, especially through a tool such as social media, to share their experiences.
And then women, I think, will become a little bit more prone to speaking about it, where
right,
so many things over the years have been swept under the carpet and people are so fearful to share. And then you can be talking to someone and say, I cannot believe that we have so many things in common,
right,
that maybe we could have worked together to right, work through the problems and work through the fear and work through that type. What are the 3 top policies that we should focus on as women in leadership positions?
Right. There's so many things we can do in driving really progressive policy and supporting existing policy, and making sure we're holding people accountable to those policies, right? So something I've been working on recently is making sure that we're protecting Title IX policies on college campuses.
Oh, yeah.
I had the immense opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. to work with an organization called Know Your Nine, and we were able to understand how so many colleges have gone under review and investigation for violating Title IX, and I think that we really want to empower, women and girls to seek higher education. But if that space is not a safe space, then how are we really advocating for women, right? Are we really ensuring that they're able to access these spaces in the safest way possible? So that, I would say, is number 1. I think the second is understanding the Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA, which is such an important local, state, and federal policy, which stipulates so many rights and protections that you have. And I think knowing your rights is always such an important part of being a citizen of anywhere you go, right? Understanding what protections you are entitled to and what institutions, whether it's school or workplace, are not able to discriminate against you or harm you in any way. So I think that's so important. And then the third policy that I've been thinking a lot about recently in some of the immigration work I'm trying to do is understanding rights to citizenship and immigration, especially for folks who are undocumented within the United States. And I've been thinking about this a lot more in terms of domestic violence. How many women who are undocumented or, still seeking a green card are in fear of reporting their instances for fear of deportation and for fear of losing their citizenship status. So those 3, I think, are really important in terms of women and girls.
Right. And it's really important to get those, especially for the undocumented women, to get the information to them,
right,
that you can make a report, you can leave, because I work with the Safe Center, along with bringing programs here to Nassau Community College. We're really, I'm really proud of the work that they're doing here at the college, because one of the biggest things is we have a lot of resources, and if we don't have them, we find resources. So when students come, there's always, you're not going to go away empty-handed. You're going to go away with the information that's really needed and it's important important for you to have.
That's so important.
So, and secondly, speaking about it, because I'm a victim of domestic violence, and I always speak on it, and I speak on it so that people can know that it can happen to them,
right?
And they can come out and stop being silent, because that is one of the biggest dangers in domestic violence is our silence.
Absolutely.
So I'm
Thank you for
happy
sharing
for the work that you're doing.
And I think also making sure that young girls and women can have somewhere to turn to, because I find the information that you're sharing with us even today are things that I am not aware of. However, even today at work, that was an issue with a domestic violence issue, and in my mind, I've been thinking about it, and we immediately tried to put resources into place for this particular family in order to make sure that they were safe. And then it sort of became a little more drastic than we thought it should be, because, you're involving the police. However, it may not have been at that level at that point.
Right.
But then I kept thinking, well, what else could we have done?
And this just goes to show that this is an everyday issue. Right?
Absolutely, yes.
And so many people are suffering in silence, unfortunately.
Right.
And there's a lot of organizations that don't know what they have to do.
Right.
They feel frustrated because sometimes some of the policies and the responsibilities that they have at the organization doesn't have a practice in there for that, and then it's it belongs to this department, it belongs to these people, it belongs to, so it does get lost. And I'm so grateful for even the schools and the colleges that do try to at least gather the resources, because I'm writing down everything you're telling me about these different.
Well, even when you mentioned, did you mention VOWER?
VOWER,
and VOWER, and that that's something that people may just completely not be aware of,
right?
And I think anybody new to the country would probably not be aware of that at all.
Absolutely.
And people living here don't even understand that there are so many outreach aspects, and there are laws to protect you, but like you did say before, that we just are not as aware as we could be as women.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is the co-founder of Refugirl, a campus compact Newman Civic Fellow. Her project has been featured at the 2017 Clinton Global Initiative University Summit, and she has coordinated with One Girl Inc.'s annual leadership conference, Women in Charge, a forum on women's leadership at Fordham University. So are you still pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Women and Gender Studies in Public Policy?
Yeah, it's a very long title.
Human Rights.
Bachelor of Arts in Women and Gender Studies, concentration in Public Policy, and minor in Human Rights.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, that's a mouthful. I mean,
that makes me want to go back and take some classes in that. I love that.
It makes me want to go back because it feels like I have to take some classes.
It does.
But tell us, Jaslin, because that is important work, and with all the other work that you're doing, I'm really impressed about your pursuits of your Bachelor of Arts.
Thank you.
So, as you reflect on your experiences since leaving Nassau Community College, how well were you prepared for your pursuits?
So well prepared. Absolutely. I think I had the incredible support of professors who I'm still in communication with, who are always supporting my work, always wanting to be a resource to me. And I think that's such a powerful thing that a lot of students really are looking for, right? A lot of students want someone to reach out to them and, take them under their wing and make sure that they're taken care of. So, I've been able to take classes on my own account and on my own time. I've been able to be part of the campus community and be involved here, while at the same time pursuing so many things outside of college as well while I was here at Nassau Community College. So I feel like I've been able to access such a holistic experience here that really set the stage for me to have a lot of personal growth and also professional growth.
And what is the ultimate career goal in the end once you complete the bachelor's degree? What do you see yourself doing?
That's the big question, isn't it? So I've been in the greater scheme of things, I would love to do more advocacy work with United Nations Women's Council, with the organ within the United Nations that works on women's issues. I think that's so important, especially on a global scale, recognizing that women's rights are threatened everywhere, not just in the United States, not just in developing countries. Gender inequality does not discriminate, right? It's everywhere, and it's part of every part of our lives. And I've also been considering options in law school and understanding how I can be a direct advocate through international human rights law and really bringing people to accountability and making sure that there is a justice framework for people who are suffering.
I can see that for you in the future. I was reading between the lines thinking, I see immigration law and, even I think even in, some of the educational law as well, that you're dealing with some very young girls, in the high school from 14 to maybe 21 years old, and they absolutely need that advocacy, and we need to protect them as well. So when they do leave the high school setting and they come onto these campuses, that they are equipped and that they feel protected. And having, again, mentors and advocates are so important.
Well, tell us, audience, who are some of the professors? Let them know that you were really memorable and really worked with you.
I can think of two right off the bat. The first I would say would be Dr. Sarah Hosey. She's the coordinator of the Women's Studies Project at Nassau Community College. The first class I took when I first stepped onto Nassau's campus was Introduction to Women's Studies 101. And I would say that's where it all began. She's really an incredible person who's able to foster a space where students feel comfortable sharing their stories and feel comfortable talking about these really difficult and controversial issues, right? And she's been such a great support network ever since. And of course, I would also have to give a shout out to Coach Trent Webb. He has been such an incredible mentor. He was my coach while I was here at Nassau for the speech, debate, and acting team. And plug, he is looking for people to join the team in fall, so please join. It was such an incredible experience where I was able to travel and find my voice, right? There was a time when I thought, I'm a good public speaker, but it really challenged me to push myself and be better than I was. And I was able to speak on so many issues like what we're talking about today to students across the nation.
And do you find that social media can be a help or a hindrance when it comes to the Me Too movement and any of the women's issues that we're faced with, say, that we're seeing, that just to me sometimes it upsets me to see that. I think that is everyone getting on the bandwagon because of social media, or can we really make a difference, or is this sort of like a mockery?
No, you're bringing up a really important critique, because the danger of social media is that the movements will stay online and not translate into actual action and actual change, right? And that's the fear that I think is, very well merited. It's definitely reasonable, and I totally understand where that is coming from, especially with us who are so engaged in social media. We're always on our phones and always on the internet, right? But I think it's such an important watershed moment, and social media is such an incredible tool where people can access information in new ways that we weren't able to do 10 or 20 years ago, right? There are so many ways that we're able to interact with people, across the state, across the nation, across the globe. And I think building those connections with folks who can share stories with each other is so powerful. But I would urge anyone who is engaged in online activism, if you are able to, if you have the resources and wherewithal to do so, to please, translate this into what your daily life is. And that doesn't have to mean going to a protest or rally every time.
Right, exactly.
It can mean calling someone into an important conversation or calling out things when you see injustice.
Right. Thank you. Jaslin has been featured in various media, including Makeshift Magazine, Glimpse Magazine, WBAI 99.5 FM, Pacifica Radio, and on ITV Gold. Now she can add 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. We'd like to thank our guest, Jaslin Kaur. How can our audience contact you?
So first, I would say reach out to our organization at Refugirl at www.refugirl.org. And you can also reach me by email at jaslinkaur217@gmail.com, jaslinkaur217 on LinkedIn as well. I am always happy to connect with folks and, speak more on this.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with my fabulous friend Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. The creative director of Lion Tales is Rudy J. Breedy. This show is a production of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Stay tuned for the news wrap-up. We'll talk to you next week.